Welcome back to the Push to Pass podcast. I am Seth Dolby, joined by my co-host Matt Faust, and we just, and by just I mean yesterday, got done watching the whatever it was called,
Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix.
Children's of Alabama,
Or Children of Alabama.
It's entirely possible it is Children's of Alabama. There was one race where
it is Children's of Alabama, actually. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was right the first time.
Yeah. It just sounds weird. But anyway.
It does.
Yes. And to the shock of absolutely everybody, and by everybody, I mean nobody, Alex Palou whooped up some serious ass. He put that belt to the ass all day and won his third race of the season in 4 attempts. But a couple weeks or a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I don't remember. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yep.
Yeah, we had an Indy 500 Open test, and Matt, you were there.
I was.
You were there, and the notable things that I remember, of course, are Ganassi is probably going to be pretty solid in the Indy 500. Alex Palou is probably going to win. Go ahead and put money on it. And then, of course, Kyle Larson crashed heavily into turn 1. And then Takuma Sato said, "Hey, hold my beer. I can do you one better," and did the same thing. So how do we feel about Kyle Larson's first IndyCar crash?
I mean, it's a typical rookie mistake. I mean, not that he's a rookie, but he hasn't had that many laps on considering all the rain and everything.
Yeah.
You know, people get up in the gray and they wash up. You see with a lot of good drivers, you've been seeing this in Indianapolis for 30 plus years. I mean, that's just the way it is. Once you get out of the groove, you're in the marbles, you're done. So that's where he was. That's how it ended up for him. And I don't think it's really that big of a deal. I think it's suspension pieces that are broken. He'll be fine. He'll move on. You got to hit the wall at some point when you're at Indy. So it was inevitable.
There are those who have hit the wall and those who are going to. So
exactly.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. Good to happen during the test too, just to get it out of the way. I was fully expecting it to happen last year because, Kyle, he's just full send. But honestly, Kyle never really felt like he went full send last year. So
they had him on a more conservative setup last year too. So it wasn't the fastest car. It was very stable. So I think now they're starting to trim out and we're going to see a little bit more slip ups.
Yeah. So it should be interesting going into the rest of this month. But yeah, and then Sato, I don't know. You can't really glean anything from that. Sato,
I mean, he had the fastest car out of anybody, and he rode it off. So that's tough to see. He went out there and set the fastest speed, not even in the draft, over anybody that had in the tow or anything. So that was the fastest car by a million miles. He had the extra go-go juice from Honda, and that car was destroyed. So fastest car that we had seen the whole test, and probably we'll see the rest of the month of May until people figure things out. But yeah, not good for them. They had to build a whole new car for a week from now. So
yeah, I guess we'll just have to see how that goes for them. Hopefully you can take a little bit from that and learn from it. Hopefully the conditions are similar too for you. That's the biggest concern. Every year going into the Indy 500, my biggest concern is please don't be over 75 or 80 degrees.
Yes, no. Especially this year with the hybrids. Drivers are already complaining. Yeah. They're basically the only way to make a pass is just by pretty much going in there with a 50-50 shot that you're going to crash the car. So
yeah,
you're fighting the wheel. Everybody looks like Pato O'Ward did in last year's 500. I mean, the onboards are insane. It's very gnarly. So unfortunately, look like it's going to be very much a procession race. So hopefully I'm wrong. We'll see. If it's colder, that's good. But
my question is what use is the hybrid going to be for an oval race? Because how are you even going to? I know we've done a couple ovals now, but it didn't affect anything. So can't we just not I don't.
Well, then we're gonna lose Honda, so we can't get rid of it.
Yeah,
but
I'm starting to think it's not worth it.
It's so basically, from what I've heard, if you use it down the straightaway, by time you get basically through the first turn, you already have it recharged. So you're gonna have it for the next straightaway. So it adds no sort of strategy, at least what I know. They could change things, I assume, with the programming of it and the recharge, how
Yeah.
much you can deploy it. I mean, that's the only game you can really play. But if they can just use it every straightaway, everybody has the same advantage. So I really, other than adding 100 pounds and making the turn slower, I really don't see what the benefit is there. But I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I'm not a driver. I'm sure drivers aren't giving away all their trade secrets yet. From what it sounds like, by time they're going into turn one, they use it down the front stretch, they will have it for the back stretch, which is just does not seem like it's really doing
Yeah.
anything for the race.
It might lend itself in like the middle portion of the race to maybe a Kyle Larson at the Brickyard 400 scenario where certain guys are trying to save fuel and other guys are using it. That's the only thing I can think of, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Oh well, let's this is going to be a doomy gloomy episode. So, I mean, we're starting off on a great foot already.
Yeah, very
But
much.
yeah, so to transition to the actual Barber race, yeah, Alex Palou waxed ass again. He's I feel like the embarrassment button needs to get pressed at some point for the field. Like I know that look, this is no obviously Alex Palou is clearly the best driver in the field. I don't think that's a stretch, but wow, like you should not be getting beat this bad every week. And even when you don't beat him, he's right. Or even when you do beat him, he's still right there. I just feel like you should be able to find something at some point. I know we're to the point with this package where we have completely maximized it because we haven't changed hardly anything in 4 years, 5 years now. So I guess this is the sixth season since we added the aero screen. So all we've done is make the car a little heavier. So I get all that, but I just feel like it's got to. I don't know. It's embarrassing, right?
It's
Am I
it's
overselling
tough.
that?
No, I mean if you're other drivers, you should definitely be embarrassed by it. The one thing that continues to impress me with him is it was a red race, and the stint that he had to put on the black tires, he was still faster than everybody else, or very close to everyone else.
Yeah.
He wasn't as fast as his fastest time, but he wasn't far off, and he was still able to pull away from other people who were using the soft tire behind him. So I just, that is something that people need to look at because he did it last year at Laguna Seca as well.
Yeah.
He just was able, he's able to just drive away from people when they have an advantage on him. That's a concern. The way he's able to manage his tires, the way he's able to get them up to speed and just continue to dominate throughout a race, there's never a slip up in any stint that he has. And you look and you think that he's just coasting. At the end of the race, he got sideways through the chicane. He's still pushing. He's not giving up. And that's just how much better he is. He's able to just push the entire race, not put a wheel wrong. I don't get how when a driver's at a disadvantage, like that second stint, people should have been able to catch up to him and they were not able to. That's where you should be embarrassed. Like if he's better than you on the same tire, whatever. But if you have a tire advantage and you still can't get him, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how you like I don't know where you go from here like at this point. Like you gotta hope your team gives you like the best setup ever conceived by human beings to like get there. It's got to be what it feels like at this point. I mean, it's probably a compounding issue too because they keep getting beat like this and then they start trying things and
Hmm.
it doesn't work or whatever and because like I guess in the warm up they were interviewing Mike. I guess it was Mike Shank. I can't remember. I think so. And he was talking about how close they wanted to keep what they do to Ganassi just to have a better baseline for where they're at. And he was saying they keep it really simple over there. So that makes me wonder too because it's not like Dixon is also killing everybody. Now, granted, obviously they are at totally different points in their career.
Hmm.
Dixon has nothing left to prove, and he's past his prime. That's understandable. Um, but I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know what you do if you're Team Penske.
Team Penske is one that I wanted to talk about as well. I
Yeah,
mean, they nearly all three of their cars nearly got beat by a Dale Coyne car.
Yeah.
Joseph Newgarden is tied in points with Arenas VK.
Yeah.
Big problem. Big problem. This is somebody who, excluding the disqualification last year, was going to be a championship favorite. Obviously, the rest of the season didn't play out well, but I think if they had that momentum from St. Pete, probably would have been a little bit stronger throughout the year. I think that was something that definitely deflated them, and they won the Indy 500 at that point. It's just like he said after, I don't care what they say anymore. I don't care anymore. I won. Being tied with Arenas VK, no offense to Arenas, obviously we'll get into that, but Team Penske needs to figure something out. This isn't the meat of their schedule. Granted, Barber is one of their better tracks. They have 7 combined wins with their current drivers. It's a little embarrassing how McLaughlin was able to just fade, and they did not have any sort of strategy to try and defend against Lundgaard. It just seems very lackluster from Team Penske this year.
Yeah, I mean, and their qualifying just continues to miss. I mean, luckily for them, Will Power is just making up for it during the race, showing some. I mean, honestly, if Will Power was this fast like 3, 4 years ago, he would have been winning all these championships. But I don't know what changed there. But unfortunately for them, it's coming when he's not able to get in qualifying, which I'm sure is not on him, just based off raw race pace. But I'm getting to the point where just in general, I'm concerned about Newgarden because he just as a driver, because he's been just absent outside of the Indy 500 and like Iowa for 3 years now, give or take. I mean, he
Yeah.
won his last championship going on 6 years ago now,
Mhm.
which it doesn't really feel like that long ago, or maybe it does. I don't know. To me, it doesn't. Um, Nearly 6 years ago. He's not a contender on road courses except maybe Road America. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to wonder. I mean, obviously, if he keeps winning Indy 500s, he'll be around for a while. But I mean, that's a big if to like keep your ride. You need to keep winning
Mhm.
Indy 500s. So, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't think Joseph's going anywhere for Team Penske anytime soon. He did sign a massive contract extension, so
This is true.
he's he's not going anywhere. The problem is, I just think in general, Penske last year they mentioned they went back with a fine-tooth comb to every little piece of their Indy 500 car. And I know they have a lot of personnel. There's a lot of time in there. There's a lot of downtime in IndyCar. So I don't doubt that they had enough time to allocate towards focusing on other packages. But it just seems like they can't compete with Alex Palou, and who can? But they're getting beat out by Andretti's at certain places. Christian Lundgaard is better than them, and Christian Lundgaard's overperforming. We can talk about that. But even getting beat by the lowest budget car, well, second lowest, the 51 car probably has lower budget than the 18. But the lowest budget team on the grid is able to nearly beat all 3 of your cars. I can't emphasize that enough. That's something they need to focus on. You're not seeing as much success from Santino as you did last year as well, the Penske affiliation. So they've definitely taken a hit, that whole organization and the satellite team. They're not performing. I will say in qualifying, they did better. This was the first time that they've had 2 cars in the Fast Six all year. It's not just Scotty McLaughlin holding down the fort. Will Power was able to qualify well. Newgarden had a good effort in ninth, but not good enough. Not good enough. This is a team that should, and drivers that should be able to beat Alex Palou, at least give him the best shot, excluding Scott Dixon, obviously, on a week-to-week basis, and we really just haven't seen any bullets fired.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned which one we want to talk about first. I'd say we'll talk about Christian Lundgaard first. Um, is he the best driver at McLaren right now? I I think it's hard to say no.
I think he's the second best driver in IndyCar right now.
It certainly seems that way.
I
Yeah.
think that that 7 car is marginally better than last year. I think the team's a little bit better. But judging off the Padders performances, the car is about the same as they had last year. Lundgaard has just been able to deliver, and he's not been on the preferred strategy for the other races. Yesterday, I think he was. They made the right calls, and that was fine. The past few races, he was on an alternate strategy, trying to fight back, and Lundgaard's just been overperforming. I think he's able to execute everything he can. His in-lap and out-laps were to perfection. That's how he was able to pass 4 cars. He went from what, seventh to second?
Yeah.
virtually in that one stop, one cycle. He's just able to execute on the small things very well. He's been sitting there waiting in a Rahal car for a while, got his big contract. Now he's a driver to watch out for. If he has a better car, I think he could get up there with Palou. I think that era McLaren still isn't fantastic. It's good. It's definitely more capable than it has been in the past.
Yeah.
But he's doing everything he can in that car. He's easily the best McLaren driver, but I wouldn't put it past Pato. And IndyCar, it's such in especially on the road course races, there's just some things that are out of your control. You can try and execute everything you can, but certain things aren't going to go your way. Some strategy calls feel like that was a botched strategy call, but everything's in reaction to other people. And if somebody just jumps the gun first and takes that risk and it works out, you look stupid if you don't. But if you're able to get that position back, then you look like a hero. I feel like that's the good contrast between Lundgaard and Pato yesterday. Pato was more going for the overcut. Christian went for the undercut. We saw it work out, the overcut work out for Palou too. So it's tough to say which one is really better between Lundgaard and Award, but Lundgaard's definitely been the best so far, results wise.
Yeah. Yeah. And in fairness to McLaren, Siegel's been or not slowly, but progressively getting better as well. He ended up, I think, what, P9 yesterday?
Yep.
Yeah. So he's also been getting
It's
better.
in a fast six as well.
Yeah. So it seems like the whole team is on an upswing ish. It's still kind of hit and miss with the 5 team, but I think they'll be good coming into the month of May, and then they usually kind of hit their stride after that anyway. So I think they're on track to do that again. So I'm not gonna hit the panic button on the Pato Award team yet, but excuse me. That leads us into Rinus VK, who ran, I would say, the best race of anybody. I
One
mean,
of the best races we've seen in a while out of a
yeah,
driver, for sure.
yeah,
Excluding all of Alex Blow's performances, but
yeah. But even then, I mean, to do that in a Dale Coyne car is nothing short of
that was not hooked up at all. I mean,
no.
he was sliding every time they showed him going through the chicane. I mean, that car was stepping out on him big
Yeah,
time. Everybody's car gets a little loose through there because it's a little off camber, lose the rear. I mean, he was beyond losing the rear. So
yeah,
one of the most impressive drives I've seen.
yeah. I mean, we haven't seen probably since Sebastian Bourdais in like 2018, maybe that car be that fast.
Hmm.
So I mean, that's a long time ago
And
now.
that's when they had more funding. That's when they had Vassar Sullivan, Sealmaster, all of those sponsors. And a good driver, obviously. That's where the funding comes from. But
Yeah,
Renus is definitely over delivering,
yeah,
overperforming that car. That car should be nowhere near the top five. That should be we were talking before the year, it'd be a miracle if they fought for top tens, and currently he's tied for 11th in points.
yeah.
So it's an
And
impressive season so far.
yeah, and as Will mentioned in the broadcast, that thing came together late, so
Hmm.
didn't get hardly any preseason, nothing. Just basically showed up and raced, and they're killing it. So big kudos to those guys, and Renus specifically. I mean, I think we knew Renus was a good driver, stuck in a dwindling race team there for a while, but yeah, it's good to see. But a couple guys, I think I already mentioned Joseph Newgarden that I was concerned with, but Colton Herta, they have, and it's not really just Colton Herta, but that team just doesn't know how to do anything right on race day. It feels. Um, I mean, they know obviously, but it's just always something with them. They qualified what, P3,
Hmm.
P2, P3, whichever, and ended up 7th, I believe. Which
Yes.
in a race like yesterday's, I feel like you have to come out of there with at least a top 5 if you're that team. And anything less than that is underselling what you could have done.
It seems like time and time again, this team continues to make the wrong strategy call. So I can give Pato Award's team the benefit of the doubt because other than thermal, they've been pretty good with strategy calls. I feel like nothing's been too bad, but it is just continuously there are issues for Colton Hurd on race day when he has them in a good spot. Look, if they're at a track and they're just not good, they're not good. That's just the way it's going to be. That's racing. some days where you're not going to have it. But when you're up there and it's the top, I mean, if Alex Palou wasn't in this race, this would have been an exciting race for the lead. So many different strategies played out. The battle for second, third, fourth, and fifth, fantastic. And Herta's team, they dropped the ball. Collectively, they were not able to put together a good finish. And like you said, they just cannot do anything right on race day continuously. I mean, Kyle Kirkwood had a good Long Beach, Herta nowhere to be found. St. Pete looked like it was going to be Herta's race to win. He was the pre-race favorite. He's won there. And they dropped the ball again. So I don't think he could have won, but I agree a top five should have been a must. That's what this team needs to do to build momentum, and they're slowly dripping down the standings, and
Yeah.
it's a bad look for this team.
Yeah, especially a guy with as much talent and promise as Colton Hurd. It's got to be just eating at him that they can't just put together a solid effort. And it's continuous. I mean, we've seen this for years now. Unfortunately, it doesn't look to be getting any better. But I don't know. I mean, they ended the year strong last year with the win at Nashville, and you maybe thought there was they were going to crest the peak there, and just hasn't happened. But all right, I guess we'll talk about the actual thing that I guess everyone's talking about now. We haven't had a caution since lap one at St. Petersburg, which means we have gone basically the entire season without a caution. Um, and I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like a NASCAR fan.
You're gonna get Tony Stewart all fired up on this, Seth.
Yeah, I know,
Better watch
Tony.
yourself.
I know, but it part of my issue is normally when you have close competitive racing, typically it will eventually lead itself to some incidents just due to the nature of being close to each other. And it hasn't felt like, I know it's been close and competitive. I know outside of the race for the lead, it has been close, it's been competitive. But it definitely feels off this year. Unless I'm thinking it too hard, but it feels a little next gen-y almost in a certain way to me.
Yeah, the cars are a lot heavier for
Yeah.
sure, so I feel like people aren't taking necessarily the risks. And we saw a lot of close racing. We saw passing, but there weren't many dive bombs going into what turn four, turn five.
Yeah.
You didn't see many dive bombs going into there. I think that, I mean, the one battle specifically, Siegel and Rossi, I figured there was going to be a caution there, which no offense to Nolan Siegel, I just expected how much faster he was, that he was going to misjudge something. So on the faster tire, still had push to pass. I figured he was going to misjudge that and get into the back of Rossi, something like that. I think it's a really testament to how good these drivers are, how close they can race to each other at a roller coaster like Barber and not have many incidents. What we had one incident with Louis Foster yesterday. I mean, that was the only thing that I
Yeah.
can remember that was notable. Anybody really going off track. I mean, we had, a few, quick little like over the curve moments, but nothing insane. It's just a testament to how good these drivers are. I think yesterday we had some closer racing and everybody stayed clean. They did get separated very quickly. Towards the end of the race, there was, other than Siegel and Rossi, there was nobody really close to anyone
Yeah.
other than lap traffic. But it is a problem that other than like strategy that nobody can really get past other people.
Yeah.
Because the car, Lundgaard could not get past a lap car yesterday for the last 10 laps of the race. So it's a problem for sure. It's next gen is a good way to put it. I hope that's not the case, but it seems like that's where we're headed.
And I really mean that in like a NASCAR hasn't changed anything major in the next gen era, and everyone's dialed it in. And we've gotten to that point where everyone's really dialed it in. If you go back and watch, at the start of this era, everyone's out of the track more, and that in itself lent itself, leads into these incidents. And now everyone's stuck because everyone has maximized this aero kit, this chassis to death, and there's really nothing. We saw, you mentioned the dive bombs into like turn four. we saw some of those, but it was pretty much always a guy coming out of the pits and he's on cold tires, and the guy on hot tires just drove by him. Like, is it a pass? Sure. Is it really that exciting? No. Like, I don't think that they're not going to pass. I don't think there's a chance they're not going to, unless they completely whiff the corner. But yeah, a lot of these races happen. We ride. It feels like, and I know these guys are pushing hard and are driving, and it's not easy to drive an IndyCar. And I couldn't do it. I would crash the hell out of one immediately, 100%. But it feels like we drive a stint, and then all of the racing actually happens on the pit lane. So it really comes down to how good your pit crew is and how good your strategist is. And that's frustrating. Like, we talk up IndyCar drivers so much, and they don't I feel, end up being the biggest reason they got the finish they did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can throw it away, but I don't feel like you can really make a huge difference. Like, maybe I feel like you put Palou in 10th, I think they get up to third. And a lot of that would be on
Fair
strategy.
assessment, yeah.
As good as Palou is, I don't think he's making that up on his own.
Yeah, I think it's definitely hard to move. It seems like yesterday, like you said, the only dive bombs we really saw, like people weren't able to set people up and make passes. That's not something that was being done yesterday. It was just very much you're stuck behind someone, hope and pray that they make a mistake. And these drivers are so good that they're not going to, at least in the spots that matter. I mean, we saw Dixon pass a bunch of people, mostly on the racetrack. So back in the field, I'm sure it's exciting racing. I mean, that's how it's always been in NASCAR too. You will start watching 30th through like 38th or 40th. I mean, that's some good racing typically because they're
Yeah.
going at it. But unfortunately, at the front of the field, like you said, everyone's so dialed in. There's they're not making many mistakes, and it all just comes down to who made the right gamble in the pit strategy. Yesterday, that was Christian Lundgaard, and he had hotter tires and was able to go past everyone. You weren't really able to see many passes for position. All the mistakes and things that you saw were just mistakes on pit road, poor strategy calls. That was it.
Yeah.
It is frustrating to watch for sure.
I know we don't like this comparison, but after this race was over and after I watched like 10 laps of NASCAR and got sick of it, I turned on the Miami Grand Prix. And there was a lot more of that.
Hmm.
There was a lot more of that. And I know they got DRS and all this stuff, but I I feel like you can make a difference as a driver in F1 of all things more than you can in IndyCar right now. And that's not what we want. That's not what made me fall in love with IndyCar 11 years ago, and I'm sure that's not what made a lot of y'all fall in love with IndyCar longer ago, less ago, however long ago. Um, I don't know. And the frustrating thing is we're looking at least one more season of this, and that's if they get their shit together and we get the new car in 2027. Now, will that fix a lot of things? Theoretically. Could it go
Yeah.
worse? Could it be worse?
That's the one
Sure.
thing you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. Some of the
You
stuff I've
don't,
seen, I don't know. I don't
yeah.
think it's any better.
At the very least, it won't be maximized. So we'll get
There
a
is that.
season or two where it's not maximized.
It's a good point. People have to
Yeah.
take risks, people have to learn, so
And I mean, the
I
series in
I don't know.
general needs to take a risk. Don't make the safest car you can. Like, do something wild with it.
Well, safety is always going to come first,
Well,
but
I don't mean
yeah.
safe. I don't mean safe
Okay,
as in
gotcha.
physically
Got
safe.
I
Yeah.
see what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah, that is how that sounded. But yeah. Don't make a champ car again, basically.
yeah.
Make a modern car.
Be careful with that word modern, man. That
Modern,
one
yeah.
we gotta watch out for what's coming, man. I
Don't
don't
make it drive worse though. That's what we see. There we go. That's what we need a car that drives worse than
We need
this
a
one.
stronger front wing. That's what we need. We need that front bite.
We need Bristol.
We haven't had front grip and we have. Let's take him to Bristol.
Just have a no. I don't mean literally go to Bristol. I mean
No.
make everyone give them the old boot scoop boogie. If I can't get by you, I'm just gonna give you the chrome horn.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That would be a wild era of IndyCar for sure. But
That would be different. Oh, well, I mean, if everybody races like Santino, we'll be there in no time, so.
hey, that'll solve the caution issue for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was Barber. And now we head into, I guess, the official start of the month of May. It was weird having Barber in May, but
Doesn't belong in May, but
yeah,
I'm not gonna beat the dead horse.
it's okay. At least maybe they can build some momentum in May.
No.
Never. No, that's not gonna happen. Now we're gonna have a Saturday
Till
afternoon
cars
race.
are going the right way around Indianapolis, that's when momentum will start getting built.
That's another thing too. We've done this for years. The Indy GP is supposed to be this like big, build up for the not big build up, but get some momentum rolling for the Indy 500, and we run it on Saturday at 4:30.
Let's put it in August.
August
Potential
or
season finale. That would be great. Everybody can come back to Indianapolis. Well, not everybody would come back, but enough people could come back later and justify it. Think about most people are going to the Indy 500. Think about like us. We can't take off for 2 weeks and go to both races. We're gonna have to pick one or the other. I know which one I'm picking 10 times out of 10.
yeah.
Stretch it out. Let's put it. I mean, we can't put it with Brickyard Weekend anymore, but I feel like that was a better. I would have enjoyed that Indy GP more if it was the only one of the year. We didn't need two of them.
I
I don't
almost
feel like
feel
it
like
needs to be in the
I
month of
almost
May.
feel like they could put it with the Brickyard because they did it in 2020 and the Brickyard was on the oval.
Oh, was it? I
Yeah.
didn't. I felt like that was different timing. Okay.
Yeah.
But well, there was no qualifying or practice for like
This is true.
NASCAR at that time. So they had
This
enough
is
time to like transition the track.
Yeah, that's true.
I Indy GP, I mean, it's okay. I'm glad there's only one of them now, but it should be at the end of the year.
Yeah.
That's me. You're not, it's a failing event. That's my take. It doesn't make sense to be turning right at Indianapolis during the month of May. Doesn't seem right.
Yeah, and you could use that time to further build up the Indy 500. Honestly, the best thing they could do would to be run a big oval. If they have to run a race in that weekend, it should be on a big oval.
Yeah, go to Michigan.
Michigan, Charlotte.
I don't think they're going back to Charlotte,
I don't
but
care. I'm going to keep beating the horse on Charlotte until they give it to us. And then the week after, we should go to like Richmond because,
Richmond should be on the calendar. We have talked about this
yeah,
on
we
this
have talked
show.
about this.
We have talked about this. Yes.
Yeah, we have absolutely talked about this, and we are gonna keep beating the horse until it is dead, dead,
Yep.
dead.
Oh, it's dead. Sorry, there's a bug in my room, guys. I apologize.
I saw it.
Yeah, it's
At
freaking
the
me out.
very least, we've got Doug Bowles himself mentioning Richmond, so
We do have that.
maybe
That
we're
is
on
huge.
maybe we're on the upswing.
Yep.
I would buy tickets so fast. Like,
I would be there. I
yeah.
would be there.
Well, all right. Who do we got finishing second at the NDGP? We're
Uh,
not gonna pick winners anymore. Let's just pick second.
I'm taking Lundgaard for second again.
Yeah, that's probably a good move. I'll take Will Power then.
Okay. Good
He's
track for him.
historically pretty good
If
there.
Simon Pagenaud was still driving, I'd pick him.
Yeah, it was the Power Pagano Penske Grand Prix there for a long time.
It
So
was. Yep.
yeah. So all right, we will. Is that this week? Yeah, that is this week.
It's this week.
Yeah, this month is moving at a. It's not even. It's day 5 of the month, but I'm getting my weeks confused because I'm leaving for India a week earlier this year, so I'm at a different time. But anyway, we'll see y'all next week for that one, and yeah, bye, Gary.